The woman in room 313, it began, like most small disasters, as an ordinary night. Ethan Myers had learned to move through the places people had forgotten. Maintenance work at the Hollow Creek Motel was mostly small humiliations. A rusted hinge here, a vending machine that jammed, a neon sign that cut in and out like someone's stuttering memory. The motel sat at the edge of a two-lane state road, bracketed by scrub pines and empty fields where corn had once stood. Summer tourists came and went in a blur. In winter, the place belonged to the wind, and to whatever had settled into the thin plaster and wood. When Ethan took the night shift, he liked the solitude. The daytime clamor, phone calls, deliveries, the owner's daughters with their clipped shoes and louder opinions was an annoyance he could escape from after dusk. By 11, the lobby was dim, the fluorescent lights humming like a trapped insect, and the government tissue clock behind the desk moved in different increments toward midnight. He'd have the keys, the flashlight, a never-emptying bag of spares in his truck. He'd walk the halls, fix the stuck locks, slap new screws into mirrors that had loosened with time. It was a job he did well enough to keep. The night was cold the first time it happened, a mid-October chill that made the neon buzz harder to ignore. Ethan had just finished replacing a rusted chain on a laundry cart when the front desk phone skidded across the quiet and broke the rhythm of the evening. He glanced at the small green digital clock by the register. 1:13 a.m. Hello, Hollow Creek Motel. This is Ethan, he said, smoothing the palm of his hand over the desk, more out of habit than need. Room 313, a woman whispered. Her voice was close to paper thin, trembling. Ethan frowned. There's someone in my room. Ma'am, Ethan checked the bookings log. There was no guest listed for 313. We haven't rented that room this month. Are you sure you've got the right motel? Silence. Then, he's standing next to me. The line went dead. The receiver made the soft click of a door closing. House rules and skepticism told Ethan not to go up. Third floor had been condemned after the fire 5 years before. Boarded up and quietly forgotten. The owner had painted a sign for contractors and put a rusted metal plate across the stairwell some months earlier. Still, there are voices that tug. Curiosity. The part of him that had been a kid in a theater once, telling himself to see what's behind the curtain. Pulled his shoulders forward. When he pushed through the heavy stair door, the air changed. The stairwell's light bulbs were dim and dusty. A film of grime lay on the banister. The smell at the top was the first real thing that shifted his stomach. A smoky, sweet smell as if someone had left perfume on a burned rag. Wallpaper peeled from the walls in curling strips that cast long, ridiculous shadows in his flashlight's beam room. Numbers were scorched into the hallway. 301, 305, 308. Each door had swaths of soot. He found 313 at the end of the corridor. The door half open with its metal latch twisted like a broken tooth. The number plate hung by a single screw. Crooked dot. The first thing Ethan saw inside was a mirror. Hairline cracked, reflecting his flashlight back at him like an accusation. The bed was a pile of charred sheets. One chair stood upright, wooden legs blackened. An old rotary phone sat on the nightstand, absurdly present, hand set off the cradle. The phone's line hummed like distant electricity. Maintenance, he said, voice sharpened with the pretense of business. Someone called about he's behind you. The voice was that same thin thread. It came swallowed from the receiver. Ethan's flashlight juddered in his hand. He spun. For a second the corridor waited with him, a held breath. Nothing. When the light steadied. The corner of the room, where the wallpaper had peeled in long wavelets, was darker than the rest. At first he thought it was the shadow of the bed. The air felt colder, and the hairs on Ethan's forearm prickled like static. He took a step backwards, and the floor creaked under his weight. When he turned his beam back, the corner was occupied by the pale suggestion of a figure. She was small, narrow shoulders, a scorched motel uniform that once might have been a neat shirt and skirt. Her face was all that held him. Skin too white, eyes that reflected the flashlight like 2 coins. Her head tilted at an angle that seemed to disobey gentle anatomy. Why did you come back? She whispered, and the syllables were the scrape of a closet door. Ethan felt the slow collapse of words in his chest. I don't know, he said aloud. Ridiculous and absurd in the face of the impossible. You called. You said someone was in your room. You left me, she said. It wasn't an accusation so much as a constant. The chair by the window had slid and now faced the wall, as if whoever had sat there had been forced to look away. His flashlight flickered, then winked out. The room went to an evenness of dark that felt like velvet thrown over everything. Something cold met the back of his neck as the beam returned, riffling through the dim. She wasn't where she'd been The phone still buzzed on the nightstand, the cord a black question mark. Ethan left with the stubborn mechanical precision of a man who told himself he would rationalize all things later. He told himself the building had settled, that old wires hummed like a hive, that the woman on the phone was a prank or a trap. He made his way downstairs on autopilot, found the man at the desk, the owner Vince, sipping burnt coffee and scrolling through a phone like nothing extraordinary had happened.